You and your partner both work. Two paychecks land every month. Good money by any normal measure. And somehow, by the 20th, it's just gone. You're not reckless. You don't take wild vacations. But the account still empties out every month like clockwork. And now you're sitting there, looking at a new car payment or a slightly bigger house, doing the quiet math in your head. Can we even fit this in? So here's the question almost nobody actually asks out loud. Is that second income really getting you ahead? Or is it quietly holding you back? Because I'm going to show you something that sounds impossible. A family down the street earning $40,000 a year less than you can end the year with more money left over and a safety net you don't have. Give me 10 minutes, and you will never look at that second paycheck the same way again. Let's run the math nobody runs. Let's keep this scrupulously fair, because that's the only way the comparison means anything. Picture your household. Both of you work, and together you bring home $127,000 a year. Now the Brooks, down the street. Same house, same one toddler, but only one of them works. They earn $85,000. On paper, it isn't close. You earn $42,000 a year more than they do. A whole extra income. That gap is the second paycheck. Let's say it's $50,000 a year. And to your family, $50,000 lands like a $50,000 raise. More money is always better, right? Hold that thought, because we're about to follow every single dollar of that $50,000, from the paycheck to what your family actually keeps. Here's the thing everyone gets wrong. They treat a second income as if it starts fresh at zero, like the first dollar you ever earned. It doesn't. It lands on top of the income you already have. It's stacked on the first paycheck, and that one fact quietly changes how much of it survives. So how much of that $50,000 do you think actually makes it to your family? Most people would say 40, maybe 35. The real number is going to surprise you. Watch. Start with tax. The first dollars a household earns are barely taxed. But your second paycheck isn't the first dollars. It sits on top of everything else. So that $50,000 isn't taxed at the low starting rate. It's taxed at your top rate, 22% to the federal government, almost 8% more to payroll, and a few percent to your state. Add it up, and roughly a third is gone before it ever hits your account. $50,000 becomes about 33. Now childcare, and here's the key. This cost only exists because both of you work. The moment that second job starts, someone has to watch the toddler all day. Full-time daycare in 2026 runs around $1,300 a month on average, and in many cities, it's closer to $2,000. Call it $15,600 a year, and that's the cheap version. Take childcare out, and your $33,000 drops to about $17,400. Then the second car. When you both leave for work, one car usually isn't enough. So there's another payment, more insurance, more gas, a parking spot. Even a modest second car, used just for commuting, runs a conservative $6,500 a year. Now you're down to about $11,000. And then the quiet one. Nobody's home, everyone's exhausted, so you start buying back time. Takeout on the hard nights, prepared meals, more delivery, more convenience. That's easily another $4,000 a year that wasn't there before, which leaves your $50,000 paycheck at about $6,900. $6,900. For a full year of full-time work, that's about $3.50 an hour. A $50,000 job, paying less per hour than your very first job as a teenager, and you're working just as hard for it. Put it another way. After everything, that second job nets your family about $575 a month. $575 for the 6 a.m. wake-ups, the packed lunches, the commute, the daycare drop-off, and the pickup at 6, every single day. So let's stop and put it on the board, because this is the part most people never see laid out. None of those are surprise bills or bad decisions. Every one is a completely normal, predictable cost of two people going to work. And together, they ate almost the whole salary. And here's the part almost nobody runs. Ready? Because that $6,900 isn't even the worst of it. It's still a positive number. The real catch is what that second income did to your fixed costs. To earn it, you took on costs that don't flex. The daycare bill comes every single month. The second car payment, every month. And very often, two incomes go straight into a bigger mortgage in the better school district. That school district move is the sneaky one. Two incomes don't just get spent, they get bid into the price of the house. A few $100s more a month, locked in for 30 years, because the second income made it look affordable. And it isn't only the house. Lenders look at two incomes and approve you for a bigger mortgage, a bigger car loan, a higher limit on everything. Two incomes don't just earn more, they let you borrow more. And borrowing more is exactly how the last bit of slack quietly disappears. Add it all up, and both incomes are now required just to stand still. There's no slack left anywhere. Now look back at the Brooks. They have something you don't, a second adult who isn't working. And that's not a loss. That's an emergency income sitting in reserve. So what happens when something goes wrong? And at some point, it does. The working parent loses their job. The Brooks have a move. The other one steps into work and starts earning. You already use that move. Both of you are working, both incomes are committed, and if either job disappears, nothing flexes, and there's no one left in reserve. And think about what nothing flexes really means. The mortgage doesn't pause because you lost a job. Neither does the daycare bill or the car payment. They were all sized for two incomes, so the moment one disappears, the gap pours straight out of your savings, fast. The Brooks never had that problem. Their whole life was already built to run on one income, so a lost job is a setback, not an emergency. Yours was quietly built to need both. And that's the finding hiding under this whole idea. Two-income families have gone under more often than one-income families did a generation ago, not in spite of earning more, but because they earned more, and quietly committed it to costs they could never take back. And this is the real reason two good incomes can still feel like treading water. It isn't that you're bad with money, it's that the second income was mostly spent before it ever arrived, on the cost of earning it, and on the bigger life it quietly talked you into. So let's put both families on the board, 1 year in, and actually keep score. You earned $42,000 more, kept about $7,000 of it, and gave up your entire financial backup to get there. The Brooks earned less, kept more of what was genuinely free, and still have a whole second earner held in reserve for the day they need it. That's the upside-down result. And it turns entirely on numbers almost nobody bothers to run. So does that mean the second earner should just quit? Not so fast. Because this is not a story about quitting your job. Change just one number, and the whole thing flips. The second income wins, and wins big. The single biggest drain was childcare. So the day your kids are old enough for school, that $15,000 vanishes, and the second paycheck suddenly keeps almost all of itself. And the kind of job matters enormously. A second career with raises, a retirement match, room to grow, compounds for decades. A flat hourly second shift usually doesn't. A real retirement match is quietly different too. A dollar matched is a dollar earned tax-advantaged. That part dodges most of what we just subtracted. The point was never, don't work. The point is to run the number, because almost nobody does. They see the gross salary and they stop looking right there. And notice what that means. The version where two incomes truly pay off is everywhere. Older kids, a remote job, a career with a match, no daycare at all. For millions of families, that second income is the best money move they will ever make. The catch is only ever in not checking which version you're actually living. So run it for your real situation, because the answer swings hard. Two little kids in daycare at the same time? Childcare can swallow the entire second salary. You can end up paying out of pocket for the privilege of working. A smaller part-time job is the same story sharpened. $30,000 a year with one kid in daycare can clear barely $2,000 after tax and care. Not nothing, but know it's 2, not 30, before you build anything on it. But that same toddler ages out of daycare in a couple of years, and the math gets better every single year after. The early years are the hardest the math ever gets. Work remote, no commute, no second car? Half the costs in that funnel never appear, and the same $50,000 keeps far more of itself. No kids at all? There's no childcare line at all. Now a second income is close to pure addition, and two earners is one of the fastest ways there is to build wealth. Same 50,000 on paper in every one of these. Wildly different paycheck once you run the four numbers underneath it. So before we land this, put it on the board one last time. The same 50,000, four different lives. Same salary at the top of every one of them. The only thing that ever changed is what was sitting underneath it. And to be genuinely fair, a second income is worth more than the cash it nets. Health benefits, a retirement match, career continuity, your own identity outside the house, those are real, and none of them show up in this arithmetic. Health insurance through that second job alone can be worth $10,000 or $15,000 a year your family would otherwise pay out of pocket. That never shows up in the hourly math, and it's very real money. Stepping out of a career for years can also cost more than daycare ever did. The lost raises, the missed promotions, the earning power that's genuinely hard to rebuild later. So this is not an argument for anyone staying home. Plenty of families should absolutely have both incomes. For them, it's the right call by a mile. The mistake is only ever one thing: spending a second income you never actually measured, and letting it quietly carry away your safety net while you weren't looking. So what do you actually do with all of this? It comes down to two steps. First, never ever value the second income at its gross number. That number is built to be looked at, and it's the wrong one. Subtract the tax at your top rate, the childcare, the second car, the convenience spending. Whatever's left at the bottom, that, and only that, is what the job actually pays you. And second, whatever that real number turns out to be, do not let it inflate your fixed costs. Live on the first income plus a slice of the second and bank the rest. If the second income nets you $20,000, that's $20,000 a year you save instead of spend, and your life still works if either job disappears. That's the whole game. And here's the one test that cuts through all of it. Could your family survive on just one of your incomes, even for 6 months? If the honest answer is no, then you're not earning a second income. You're depending on it. And depending on it is the whole problem. Here it is in one sentence. Earn the second income, measure what it really keeps, and refuse to let your fixed costs grow to swallow it. The paycheck is a tool, right up until your bills are built around it. And then it's a leash. Because it was never really two incomes versus one. It was one question hiding underneath the whole thing. How much of that second paycheck actually reaches your family? And what did it quietly cost you to get it? So run that number before you build your whole life around a paycheck that might be paying you $3 an hour. And tell me in the comments, are you a one-income house or a two-income house? And did you ever actually run the net? I read these, and your questions become the next videos.